So in this video, we'll be looking at the variance of discrete random variables. In the previous video, we looked at the expected value of discrete random variables. So if you look at the formula here, to calculate the variance, we use expected values. If you remember from the last videos, expected value, this is the formula, and this will need to be remembered. And for larger values of variance, this means that the values of x we get are more likely to deviate from the value we got as the expected value. And so when answering these questions with variance, we need to remember that the sum of probabilities is equal to 1. We need to remember our key rules. So these were the two key rules from the previous videos. The sum of the probabilities is equal to 1 and the formula for the expected value. This time we'll need to remember the formula for the variance as well. So if we hop into an example, it'll all become a lot more clear. Okay, so the random variable x has a probability distribution given by the table. So firstly, we want to find e to the x. So finding e to the x, we want to apply our formula of e to the x, which is equal to the sum of x times p here. Okay, so for this first value of x, we want minus 1 times the probability of x, add x times the probability of x for the next one here, and for this one, x times the probability of x, and so on until this value here. We mentioned in the first video that if these probability values are the same, we can simply factor out the 1/5, minus 1, add 0, add 1, add 2, add 3. We end up getting 1/5, 5, which is equal to 1, which is our expected value, sorry. So for part B, we want to find the variance. We already have e to the x. If we remember our variance formula, we need e to the x squared minus e to the x all squared. So now we need to create a separate table for e to the x squared. So we'll do this above just to make it clearer. Okay, so x squared, x, p, x is equal to x. So when x is minus 1, x is 0, x is 1, x is 2, and x is 3, x squared would be 1, x squared would be 0, x squared would be 1, 4, and 9. Probabilities all stay the same at a fifth. One thing to note is that notice how squaring x turns the negative x value positive. Okay, so finding e to the x squared, we have 1/5, 1, add 0, add 1, add 4, add 9. And then if we simply put this into a calculator, we should get 3. Now, just rewriting that variance formula, if we plug in our values that we've gotten from part A and part B, we have 3 minus 1 squared, which is equal to 2. And that's our variance. So for the second example, it's a lot more tricky. I think this is the last example in the textbook, or the last question in the textbook, rather. And so these definitely tend to be a lot more tricky, and we'll work through it together. So again, don't be scared by the algebra. Just remember our rules, and it'll be all fine. So the first part says, write down an expression for e to the x in terms of a and b. So e to the x is equal to the sum of x times the probability x equals x. Okay, so x times the probability of x, add x times the probability of x, add x times the probability of x is all equal to e to the x. This works out, sorry, this should be 1. This works out at 4a add 2b is equal to e to the x. Okay, so for part B, we're given the variance of x and they want us to find the values of a and b. So we've got to apply the easiest rule that we know, which is that the sum of the probabilities is equal to 1. So we have a add b add a is equal to 1. 2a add b is equal to 1. However, if we notice our e to the x value is 4a add 2b, if we factor out 2, we get 2a add b is equal to e to the x. This 2a add b is the same 2a add b that equals 1. So 2, 1 is equal to e to the x. So e to the x is 2. So that's made things a lot more simple for us. So now we just need to create a new table using x squared to get the e to the x squared value. And so to do this, we want to x squared p x equals to x. Values of x are 1, 2 and 3. So x squared would be 1, 4 and 9. The probabilities stay the same at a, b, a. And so e x squared is equal to x squared times the probability of x squared add x squared times the probability add x squared times the probability. And this works out to be a add 4b add 9a is equal to e to the x squared. So 10a add 4b is equal to e to the x squared. And now we can apply our formula, which is variance x is equal to e to the x squared. So 10a add 4b minus 1 minus 2 squared, because our value of e to the x was 2. And this is equal to the variance, which is 0.75. 0.75. So we have 10a add 4b minus 4 is equal to 0.75. Therefore 10a add 4b is equal to 4.75. Now if we notice, we already have an equation for what equals 1, and this is 2a add b is equal to 1. So if we multiply through by 4, we should get 10a add 4b is equal to 4.75, and 8a add 4b is equal to 4. So if we minus, just to cancel out these b's, we get 2a is equal to 0.75, and that would make a out to be 3.75. 0.375, sorry. And we can sub that back in to 0.3, subbing this back into this equation here. Add b is equal to 1, therefore b is equal to 0.25. Yeah, so again, just remember these rules and you'll be fine.